guys, it's a Woman International Month special. I think it's my favorite month so far because I don't know. A lot of women are very supportive and like, I love to do it. When usually on any other month, they'll be like, we'll save it for another time. So they're super supportive. Yes, woman empowerment. And guys, welcome to the Leaders Talk Podcast, the podcast where we interview leaders amongst every industry so that you can become a better leader. Pretty interesting. But today, I think it would be a disservice to not interview the first woman mayor of Doral, the youngest council member of Doral, Christi Fraga.
Yes,
thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast.
Thank you so much. I know that people didn't see it, but I do have to mention there has to be some level of stress on it. It's like I told you off camera. Guys, you don't understand. There was I was waiting there. I came. There was 3 different sets of, it wasn't just one person. It was groups of people that came and I was like, damn. I thought I was busy. She's nonstop.
Yeah, we have our days, but yes, it's constantly busy. We have an incredible city, incredible members of our community, whether it's from the business community, our residents, faith-based schools, parents. We have a very active community, and so I love to make myself available. I'm very open and accessible. So it's funny because a lot of times, my week will start where I've left empty slots or I've left an empty day so I can catch up on emails or I can meet with staff and things like that. And before I know it, my empty slots are filled because people text me or call me and they're like, oh, I really need this. I need to see you. So my days get filled very, very quickly. It's tough. It's not easy to manage. People ask me all the time, how do you balance? There's no such thing as balance. You kind of just roll with it, prioritize, figure it out every day. And like I said, we make it happen, and we're not perfect, and we learn from mistakes and alter and shift. And I think the most important thing is being flexible, and that you have a staff that can, mold and be flexible too, and adapt. Adaptability is extremely important in what we do. And so, like I said, I fast in the mornings. It's 2:50. I haven't eaten anything today.
We're going to hear your stomach growling.
So, yes,
you know that happened on multiple
coffee.
interviews?
I had coffee.
Isn't that bad, though, if you have coffee on an empty stomach?
No. It breaks my fast, I guess, but now I'm starving. So I have to start to shift a little bit and be either have a protein bar ready or not do fasting anymore because I end up not eating till 3 or 4 o'clock and then I'm starving. Yeah. So anyway.
I tried fasting, but not a fan of it.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of it.
Well,
but
I don't have a lot of time to work out, even though I try. So I have to find other ways to stay fit.
Yeah. No, and I've realized that starting my own marketing agency and doing this, I'm like, you really don't have a lot of time for other stuff if you're all in on something. But you said something that was powerful. And actually, something that you referenced in another interview, that you really look for the key hires.
Yeah, your team is really important.
You never want to be the smartest person in the room. Because if you're the smartest person
in the room, you're not in the right room.
You're not in the right room. So talk to me about that. How do you really... Because I and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the position that you're at, a lot of people, I think, will be afraid to tell you the truth or afraid to be telling you what you're doing wrong or what you should be doing better.
Then you don't have the right people around you.
How do you find the right people?
Well, first of all, it doesn't just happen overnight, right? You have to know what you're looking for. You have to be a leader, right? To want to bring people around you that are willing to trust you, that are willing to follow, but are also willing to speak up, that have their own, their own emotional intelligence, to want to learn and adapt, but also, have their independence. So it doesn't always work out. It's not like I've had, I've actually had the same people with me for a long time. My team stays with me for a long time, but I think it's because I make it fun. I let them be innovative, make mistakes, learn from their own decisions. But I can be very strong. I am very opinionated, obviously. I wouldn't be where I am either. So it's not easy, but I think that if you know what you're looking for, you attract those people and you know how to pick them out in a room. So I've also given opportunities to people that most people would not give an opportunity to.
That's very powerful. And I heard a lot of very successful people have taught about that.
Yeah.
They would take that risk.
I don't pick the most qualified person in the sense of like
Degrees,
if you've
all
been
that
doing
stuff.
right, like if you have like a bunch of degree, not that you shouldn't have a bunch of degrees,
Of course,
but like
yeah.
for example, I'm gonna give you an example of like my community outreach coordinator position.
Her.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I received a lot of applications of like really qualified people that had been doing social media marketing, had background in design, all these things, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't pick the most qualified person. I picked the one that was like under that I felt was like hungry for the job. I felt like she was really hungry for the
Intangible
job.
that you
She
can't
was,
see on a paper.
yeah, she was like, she showed a lot of drive.
What was it that she did, to show you that she had that drive?
Well, she would follow up every like couple days, like
that.
what's the job? I mean, is the job been filled? I'm interested in the job, whatever. I actually hired that person, and she came in and she could not hack it for a week. After a week, she was like, I can't do this. And I was like, and I knew it too. Like day 2, I was like, oh, this person's not going to work. The person I hired actually, so I went back to the list. She had been selected by the committee because I put a committee to like interview people that know me. She had been ranked towards the bottom. And I was like, you know what? There's something about this girl. Like, I want to give her an opportunity. Had never worked in social media, but always wanted to be in social media. Had never worked in like communication, but had a background with communication and what she studied. But she was working in an accounting, like not doing what the
Community
job,
outreach,
what
social
the
media,
job entailed. Best decision I ever made. I mean, hungry for the job, loves the community, understands me, fluent in both languages, just really, really adapted quickly to my pace, to what we were looking for, to the city, to its residents. I mean, she's such an asset to the community. Just one of these people that just gets it. And also she feeds off my energy, which works really well too.
There's a humongous lesson in that a lot of people I think can take away from that, which is that in the intangible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very easy to like, it's not easy, but you have the degrees, you have everything that qualifies you for the job, paper, logistically.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. This is from me sitting down with people like the CEOs, other mayors.
Yeah.
They really do double down on, forget all that. Who are you?
Yeah.
What is your ethos? What drives you when you wake up?
100%, especially in this line of work in public service. It could be a thankless job. And
A thankless job.
Yeah, it could be a thankless. It can be. I'm not saying it is. I find it very rewarding, and I'm so grateful for my community. I feel super loved and supported, and like I feel like this community is grateful to have someone who cares a lot, and they show that. So, but it can be a thankless job, and sometimes we go through those, we go through those roller coasters where there's like really tough down moments. There's really tough moments, and I say our work is not 9 to 5. It's 24/7. Tomorrow there's a big issue in the city, like when the Covanta plant caught fire. Yeah. It was a Sunday at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. At 9 o'clock at night, we were like, everybody go to the EOC, press. So you could be on in no time, any second. So, you have to love customer service. You have to love public service. You have to love people. You have to understand. You have to be you have to be very emotionally intelligent to be able to do what we do on a daily basis. Not just me, but those around me too. So, and we make mistakes. Like I said, I've hired people that I'm like, oh, this is not the right person. And luckily them themselves have been like, yeah, this is not for me. And
emotional intelligence.
Yeah. And they move on, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I've been very lucky to be able to find people around me that love and have a passion for what we do. And like I said, I don't look for the smartest person. I don't look to be the smartest person in the room. I look for the smartest person to be in the room with me, to help make those decisions, to make sure that we're continuing to grow, because I'm going to learn from them. We feed off of each other, right? You feed off of that energy.
Yeah, creating an ecosystem where that person to your left is smarter than what you have.
Yeah.
And then that person to the right knows something that person doesn't know, creating that ecosystem.
It's hard to do too in politics, okay? Because everybody has an ego. Let's just be really honest, right? It's hard. But I think being able to sit back and give credit where credit is due and say, and like I said, I give a lot of freedom. I'm like, I want to do something like this, go run with it. Figure out how to do it, find solutions. We need to be solution driven, bring me ideas. I think that's the best way to kind of approach that creating that environment around you, that work environment. But nobody's perfect. But I think definitely giving an opportunity to people that you maybe wouldn't give an opportunity to if you see that they have the drive. Like sometimes their passion, their personality, like what you said, what motivates them is so much bigger than that degree that they may have.
And I think
both equally important.
Of course. And I think the other side you could teach. Because you could teach that community outreach. You can teach that.
Yeah.
But you can't teach, you want to wake up late.
Drive and love and passion.
Unteachables.
Yep.
There was a book that I read by Patrick Bet-David. I don't know if you know who he is.
Who is it again?
Patrick Bet-David. Runs PBD podcast, Valuetainment. That guy.
I haven't heard of him.
He said something in the book that there was a guy that 1 month he made $80,000. And then he asked him, he's like, hey, you're going to go celebrate? He's like, no, I'm going to save my money, just chill out. He's like, you're not going to take your wife out for dinner? He's like, no, it's fine. I'm just going to save money. Next month, he made $10,000. He was like, hey, what happened? He's like, I don't know. I'll tell you what happened. You didn't celebrate the wins. You didn't give the spotlight the credit where it was due. Like, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes, like what you just said, everybody has an ego. You can't really, to say, oh, we're all humble. We are yes, of course. Everybody has that drive for, I want to see good in other people, but also people need the recognition. People need you did a good job. People need hey.
Validation.
Exactly. When you're on the stage saying, hey, guys, I thank you for all this, but it was really that guy that made all this happen.
Right.
I think that's what makes a great leader.
Yeah.
And that's what I see and that's what I heard from you.
Yeah.
But I want to get beyond the surface level of who you are. Meaning, you don't talk a lot about pre-24-year-old Christi. And I really want to
There wasn't social media back then.
I'm curious because you had success at a very young age, 24 years old. You became youngest council member.
Yeah.
Whether you know politics or not, you made history twice. First woman mayor, youngest council member. That's history. Regardless of, politics, whether you're Republican, Democrat. But at least from my experience, at least what I've seen, right? The people that had success at a really young age, they missed out on something at an earlier age. They weren't the ones to go to parties. They weren't the ones that were all in. If I was best friends with you, high school, would I known that you would have been doing what you're doing right now? Not so much mayor, but the success that you've had.
I think most people that knew me back then, yes, would say that they knew that I was, I was very driven and success. I had a goal, success goals that I wanted to meet. I wouldn't say it was in politics. I never thought I was going to do politics. I was not one of those. I was involved in
You were never the student government. Oh, you
no,
were.
I was. I was involved. I was very involved in school, and I was what they call class rep. I was always inventando something. Like my mom would say, my mom says she knew that I was going to be in politics. Siempre estaba inventando. Siempre. She would always say that. I was always the one to get the group together. Let's go do this. Let's go do a community service project. That type of stuff. But I wasn't student body president. I never ran. I wasn't, I wasn't in that. I just wasn't. I also had a relationship through high school. And so, I was very involved with my relationship and things like that. But, I think most people that were around me knew that I definitely was goal driven and that I was a go getter. I wanted to be successful.
So I would have seen. I was like, yeah, she works hard. She's gonna. I don't know what she's gonna do, but whatever she does, she's gonna.
I worked hard in whether I was in a club or it was my classroom stuff or the class stuff that I would do where I was I was in charge of whatever, homecoming. I made sure that it was done. I was also very detailed oriented, and I always have been, and I was very creative. I was always very creative.
I think creativity is where the best ideas come from. You wandering completely a 180 direction of where the goal is supposed to be.
I wouldn't say I missed out on anything though. I wasn't a partier. I never
went to that house parties Saturday.
It's funny because
Friday.
somebody was talking the other day about club space. I was like, I have no idea what it looks like. I've never been.
I asked that. I asked you that question.
I was never that person. Again, I've had 2 relationships my whole life. I had a boyfriend throughout high school.
2 relationships your whole life?
Yep. I had a boyfriend throughout high school and then my husband, which I ended up marrying very young. And we built our life together. He comes from very different background than I do in the sense he's Cuban, and I'm from a Cuban family, but very different upbringings. I was very fortunate and I was very My family worked very hard. My parents worked, but I was very fortunate. I mean, I know how fortunate I was, and I'm really grateful for that. I went to private school. I had a lot of opportunity. I traveled the world. I did a lot of incredible things that most people probably wouldn't be able to do. And I fully realize that and recognize that. My husband, very different, completely different. I mean, worked from a very young age, had to work his way through college. So we built our life together at a young age. And we actually didn't have kids till 5 years after we got married because we wanted to grow our business. We wanted to focus on our own successes. We wanted to travel. Like, we wanted to build a life together before we brought another life into it. And
I admire that a lot.
Yeah, and we were young. Like, a lot of people thought like I was pregnant or something, and I was like, no.
How old was it when you guys got married?
I was 22 when I got married.
22?
My
FIU.
husband's a little bit older
Did you just
than me.
graduate FIU or?
I had just graduated FIU. He was still in FIU because he had to pay his way through school. He had no help, so he didn't want to get in debt. He didn't want to take out loans or student, anything. So he worked and went to school. It took him 10 years to graduate, but he did it. He was the first one in his family to graduate with no debt. That was his goal. He was like, I want to graduate, but with no debt. I don't want to have student debt. And so, and I helped him and supported him through that. So he graduated a couple years after me. But yeah, I graduated in 2010 from FIU, and that was the year we got married. Yeah.
I admire that a lot because that's something I'm sort of kind of going through. I'm still 18, right? So I didn't go to any of the parties. I missed out on all that. But I was talking with somebody, and I have a girlfriend that I've been with since junior year, but I've been like smart about it. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be attached to someone because I see the future, but also, what if this person is not like a burden, but actually an asset? What if this person is like, hey, keep going on the times I really don't feel like going? And you said something, you really didn't miss out on like anything because there was nothing to miss out on.
Yeah.
And I say that because, I don't know, at least from the people that I see around me, a lot of people are scared to miss out on the clubs, scared to miss out on that college experience because, man, it's a once in a lifetime YOLO. You have to live your life. Like, but I don't know. I find so much joy, and you could elaborate on this, but I find so much more joy being serious at an early age and being able to say, you know what? I'm going to take that risk. I'm going to take that risk of missing out on this.
I don't see it as a missing out. My husband and I, we wanted to do things together. And we enjoyed doing things together. So I don't really believe that I missed out on anything. I had a great, great childhood. I had great high school years. I mean,
So you never think about
fun.
Damn, I missed.
No, maybe not my personality or something, but no, I don't. I don't feel like I missed out on anything that I wouldn't be able to do even later in my life if I wanted to. Which my husband and I always talked about too. We were like, we work really hard now so that later on in our lives, we can retire early and travel and and enjoy ourselves while we're still young enough to do so.
So was that the driving force that you got so serious at an early age? Was it because you wanted?
I don't want to say that was a driving force. We just clicked really well.
No, I'm saying you're like personal success, like your personal success and ambition, and like, okay, I want to become like make a name for myself. Was the driving force because you wanted later on in life to retire early too?
I can't say that that just kind of was the conversation that happened. I think when I got married more so was like, oh, we want to work really hard now. We want to establish our businesses so that we have the financial freedom to do those things later in our life. Yeah. The reason I was able to run for office was because I had financial freedom to say I wasn't giving up anything to be able to be in office. I also didn't give up building my business on the private end while I served the community. Like, I knew my limits and my boundaries. So now as a mayor, I have the financial freedom to be able to say, I do this because I love it, not because I need to do it.
That's powerful.
And I've been able to give up being at my business every single day to be here and to serve my community 110% because my money makes money itself, right? I set myself up for that. My husband still runs our business. He's still out there doing his business, but I was able to set up everything. And I tell people all the time that come to ask me, oh, I want to run for office. The first thing I ask them is, how's your finances? It's the first thing I ask them. I'm like, because if you're going to do this for money or you're going to do this because you're trying to become something, don't do this. Because one, if you do it for that, you're going to do it the wrong way. You're going to end up in a lot of trouble. I said, and the other thing is, don't do this for a title or for the name it gives you, because that's why people tell me, they call me Mayor, they're like, oh, Mayor Fraga. And I'm like, no, it's Christi first. Mayor is just the title I have today. It may not be the title I have tomorrow, but I will always have the title of Christi. That's the name my mom gave me. That's who I am. I'm Christi before I am mayor. I love the fact that I'm the mayor, and I've worked really hard for that, and I'm grateful for that position. But it's just the title I hold today. It's not the title I'll hold forever. And so I always tell people that I'm like, really think about why you want to do this. Don't do it because, and the first question I always ask is, how are your finances? What are you doing for work? Is your family going to suffer if you leave working to do this? We are paid. I mean, some people think we don't get paid. We get paid. And the reason I was able to say, okay, I'm going to dedicate 100% of my time to being mayor is because I'm getting paid a salary to be able to do that. Right? And again, my business keeps running, and I have not stopped that because I was able to set it up in a way where it continues almost on its own now.
And you set it up at an early age too.
We did. We set it up at a very early age. Like I said, and we went through really hard times too, in the sense that when my husband was starting his business, I was working 2 jobs so that he could start his business, so that I could support him. Once his business got on his feet, then it was my turn. And then I was able to grow my business.
How do you have so much belief in somebody to work 2 jobs just to support what they're doing?
Oh, because we shared a lot of the same goals. We had the same goals. We knew what we wanted. You just know when I could tell you the difference 100%.
And you never had any doubt?
Never. And I'll tell you, I had a relationship before him for 6 years.
Well, 6 years before your husband?
My relationship before my husband was 6 years.
So
it was like my high school sweetheart. Have tons of love for him. I mean, we went through losing family members together. I mean, I thought I was going to marry this person until I met my husband. Then I was like, oh.
Were you together with a guy when you met?
No, well, we were like separated, but then I met my husband. I was like, oh, so sad that I lost this relationship. But then I met my husband. I was like, oh, this is the type of love that you're supposed to have with your lifelong partner.
And this is a big thing about Women International Month. I think the most, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, one of the most beautiful things about women is that they have the ability to be a mother. They have the ability to be a wife. But not only that, you build a very successful career. How do you not balance that? Because I know by the feeling of you, I don't think you like the word balance. But how do you be a mother, a wife, a mayor? How is that even?
I don't have an answer for that. I have a lot of mom guilt. I cry a lot, and I shouldn't say on camera, because my political consultants would be like, "Stop saying you cry." I'm like, "But I'm human. I do. Yes, I cry. Yes, I get home sometimes really tired.
Why, from missing your kids or something?
And yeah, I have a lot of mom guilt sometimes. It's funny because someone asked me today, "What is it like being the mayor?" And I'm like, "It's like having 90,000 kids." Like, I feel like every single one of these residents and businesses and the community is like, I'm responsible for it. It's my child. I feel that responsibility. It's something I took on with wanting to be in this position. And so I feel a huge sense of responsibility of being there for them and cumpliendo, or committing, or I forgot how to say the word cumpliendo in English. Cumpliendo, like, you know what I mean, right? Like,
no, I know what you mean, but sure.
Yeah, so I feel like a huge sense of commitment, or of responsibility in meeting the expectations. So I have a lot of that, right? I have my moments where I'm like, am I giving up time I'll never get back with my family because I have a responsibility to my community? That's something I have to reconcile with myself. Nobody can answer that for me. I have to reconcile that with myself. And so I try to be respectful of that for me, right? And being able to say no to things. Like, I'm really trying, like Sundays, I try to just be with my family. Yeah. Same thing Saturdays, like, unless it's something I have to go to. I've learned to say no, but it's hard because people have an expectation. They want you there. People actually get really mad when I say no to something. Or I'm like, can I send another council member, or can I send somebody from my team? And they get like offended because I was at someone else's stuff. So it's really hard. But I don't have an answer for that. Like I said, something I figure out every single day. It's something
it's an ongoing process that you're learning how to.
Yeah.
And I really don't think there's ever a balance. And I've said this so many times. There's something Jeff Bezos said, that life is not meant to be a balance, because then you're always going to have an imbalance.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It should be a circle.
Yeah.
You should do so good at your office, being a mayor, get home at whatever time, But when you come home, be such a good wife, be such a good
Yes.
mother, that gives you energy to go on the next day to be a good mayor
100%.
in a circle like that. But you're never going to have that perfect balance.
Yeah, that's why I always say that there's no such thing as balance in that sense, right? Because every day is different. Look, last week my son, I had to take him to the hospital.
He's a golfer too. I
yes,
gotta mention
he's a golfer. Yes, so I had to take him to the hospital. He wasn't feeling good. I had to cancel my whole day, right? And it's like that completely threw off everything else this week because I had to move a bunch of things this week. And I had left this week kind of open because I needed to catch up on some stuff. I needed to have some meetings with staff. I had to shift everything. So like I said, adaptability, flexibility. I love that analogy of the circle. Absolutely. Like when I'm home, I'm home. I am with my son. Doesn't mean I'm not going to check my phone. I realize that tomorrow there could be a huge emergency and I have to respond immediately.
Of course.
So I always have it close by, and people that need to get a hold of me know how to get a hold of me. But when I'm home, I'm home. I'm with him. I try and like cook and do fun things with him. Yes, I try and be in the moment as much as possible.
That's a skill you really
well, this
have
has
to
ruined
learn.
ruined that with us. Like now we expect, it's funny because somebody told me the other day, they're like, oh, I sent you an email. And I'm like, when? And they're like, yesterday at 7:00 at night. And I'm like,
hey, no, I do want to mention that you
haven't
replied
checked.
to my email like at 2 at night, something like that.
I do work till really late. Yes.
So
I don't sleep much. So yes, I do work until late hours. At least once a week, I'm up till probably 3 a.m. answering emails and stuff like that. I don't have time to catch up. That's why I try to leave space in my calendar during the week so I can catch up. But if I can't, I can't. So I have to, and I'm trying to balance that my weekends are for family. And so the only time I have to be able to do it sometimes is in the middle of the night. And that's also sometimes once my son goes to bed, again, because I don't take time away from him. I wait till he goes to sleep and then I'll start. And so sometimes I have to work on my business stuff at that time as well. Or really early in the morning. Like today I woke up at 5:30 in the morning. I made my coffee. I sat down and I started to answer some emails. And I was doing stuff for the office because it's the beginning of the month. The beginning of the month is always really hard for me in my personal business. So I went in and I started to do my stuff, like pay distributions and stuff that I have to do. And then at 7, I closed my laptop. I went up, woke up my son, started getting ready, and took him to school. And then my day as mayor starts.
That's really, really admirable. And I really want to end this as, this is a Women International Month special. Wink, wink. You're going to have more women, very powerful women, you're not going to want to miss it. You're not going to want to miss it. If people watching this right now, it's probably a woman or, no, I think there's going to be a mix of both. Yeah. But what you just said right there is very powerful. Not having a balance, but understanding when you're in something, when you're not. But like you said, you put your son to bed and then you go back to work. Mm-hmm. It's not like
discipline.
Discipline
There's a lot of really important
and adaptability.
In anything you do. Yeah, that was just what I told you from the beginning. Adaptability, but discipline is also really important, right? Knowing that if you have a deadline, don't procrastinate. You have to be disciplined with yourself, and I think that's probably one of the hardest things that most people are probably hard on themselves in and don't have as much as is having that discipline of knowing when you have to do something or meeting a deadline. Some people work better under pressure. But yeah, I think that you have to be able to, no one's going to force you to get up. Like me, no one forces me to get up and come to work. Nobody forces me to answer all my emails. Right? I'm elected for 4 years, normally, which this year was the only difference because I'm finishing the term of the former mayor. So now I have an election and then I get 4 years. But normally you're elected for 4 years. No one really knows how much you come to the office or what you don't, or what emails you answer, what you don't, right? The accountability is in the work, right? The work that you put out, what you do for the community. When someone emailed you, did you answer them back? So you have to have the discipline to do it yourself so that you have the success that you want from it. I always say in politics or in public service, it's how much you put in that you get back. Right? It's how much you put in, because people get elected and they disappear. We've seen it many times. It's not what I want for what my legacy would be, what people think of me. For
and you really have kept going up. I have to say that.
And what I give, I feel like I receive back in the appreciation from the community, right? So as much as I give back, I put in, I get back.
I want to end it off. I was trying to think of a good closer.
Okay.
A really good closer. But I really do admire you. There's not a lot of people that I say like I really do admire you.
Thank you.
Because not that I see myself in your shoes, but I feel the person that you were when you were young is that you were so laser focused. I feel like you were laser focused. You were on top of your stuff. You had friends that were like, hey, let's go here. And you're like, I don't know. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but I just have that feeling. And it's a big accomplishment to become a mayor, let alone, right? Even bigger one to be like, hey, yeah, there's never really been a woman in that position. Oh, damn. Like, a lot of people get intimidated. So not only did you become mayor, you became the first woman that became mayor. Now, there's a lot of, not stigmas, how do you say it? Like stereotype that anything, women have it harder. If you want to build a successful career, build a business, it's harder. I don't know the truth because I'm not a woman, but you can attest to that. I want to end off with something. What would be your message to that woman, that girl that right now is watching, that she's like, man, I want to get to that position. Maybe not mayor, but to the position where I know I could get to, whether it's a male predominant industry, whether it's whatever. It's your message.
We will shatter any glass ceiling that we set ourselves to shatter. But you just have to set that goal and you have to go for it. I have never felt that because I was a woman, I was not going to reach my full potential. But what's your full potential? You can't let others tell you what that is. You have to set what that is. What is your full potential? I'm not gonna tell you it wasn't harder because I would say that it was probably harder because of my age versus being a woman. I was undermined a lot, underestimated, still am, more because of my age than because of my gender. I'm not discounting at all that it's hard for many women in certain industries. It is. I've just never felt that that's going to be a barrier for me, because I've been able to shatter the glass ceilings that I set for myself. I don't let anybody else set those for me. I set them for myself. I set realistic goals. You said at the beginning about celebrating the small wins. I learned that really early on, because what happens is we set goals for ourselves that are sometimes not that they're unobtainable, but they take longer to get to. So I find that setting smaller goals that are easier to get to and more realistic.
Pile up.
Right. They add on. It's the effect of
snowball effect
of compiling, right?
Compounding
effect.
Yeah.
In
Seventh
your
wonder
success,
of the world.
Right. Compounding effect versus I always use it in weight loss, right? It's like the best way I could say it. I always tell women or men or whoever, it's like, oh, I want to lose 100 pounds. Don't say I want to lose 100 pounds because it's going to be really hard to get there. You're going to do it, but it's hard to get there. Say you want to lose 10. And when you get to that 10, celebrate that 10. Then say you want to add another 10 and then another 10 and another 10. Before you know it, you've lost it. So same thing goes with money. Don't say I want to be a millionaire. You may want to be there, but this year set a goal that I want to save $10,000. I want to save 20. I want to save 100,000 and start getting there little by little. Because if you say I want to be a millionaire, it looks so far away that you get discouraged. Same thing. I want to have a huge house. Well, start with an apartment, start with a small house, but buy it. Don't rent it. Buy something small and then work your way there. So I always say set smaller goals, obtainable goals, set realistic expectations so that you don't get discouraged. You can now celebrate those small wins and you're going to feel better about yourself and where you're headed. The less discouraged you get, the more drive you're going to have.
The less discouraged you get, the more drive you're going to have. It's powerful. I think it's like what you said, compiling those small wins. And there was something that I want to leave off on. I think it was Alex Hormozi. I don't know if you know who he is. Super, like if you see his face, you'll know who he is. Big on social media.
I'm horrible with names.
If you see his face, bearded guy, super buff, always has a hat, acquisition.com.
Okay.
But he said something. I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly. You fall to like where your habits are. Something. Oh my gosh, he said it so good. I don't remember. He said that you fall to your habits. Like you don't fall to what you believe you are. You fall to what your habits are. And ultimately, your habits dictate whether you're going to be that. Whether you're going to be lose 100 pounds. Your habits are going to dictate whether you become the first woman mayor. Habits are going to dictate whether you're successful in business. Whatever it may be. But that's what I'm hearing from you. To summarize this, I really do think it's that. The habits that you build up. The compounding of how you build up. the self-belief, like when you said, when other people underestimated you. And I think there's actually...
That's a huge motivator to me, by the way. Every time I'm underestimated or somebody tells me I can't do it, like, that's the goal I'm going to get this year. It's like, when someone tells me, oh, there's no way that's going to... I'm like, you don't realize that you just motivated me
10 times more. There's energy. There's...
I'm like, you want me to see me do something? Tell me I can't do it.
That's another thing too. Like the ability to say, to hear someone say, hey, you can't do that. Hey, yeah, that marketing agency, yeah, it's not gonna work. Hey, that podcast, you're not gonna interview anybody. Just stop. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That ability to draw energy from a negative. I think that's what you did. And I really do appreciate your time. And I think that's the message of it.
Yeah. And let me just say it, when I said, the least discouraged you are, the more drive you have, it's okay to,
we're human. We're going to be
fall.
discouraged.
I've had several times where I've like been on the ground, like, and I've fallen. It's about how quickly you get up, dust it off, and keep going.
100%.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. The smaller goals help you feel like you've succeeded and therefore give you more drive to keep going. Right. Because you're like, I've succeeded. But if you keep failing and failing and failing and failing, you have to reevaluate. Wait, why are you doing that?
100%.
Why are you failing so much? And you're and being discouraged is probably one of the biggest and worst one of the worst things that can happen to you that will lead you to failure. So if you keep, it's like, again, I always relate to this, everybody I think can relate to like trying to get fit, right?
Of course.
It's when you're starting to work out, you feel good. You're like, man, now that I'm working out, I'm eating healthy, because you're like, you don't want to undo the hour you had at the gym.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm going to eat healthier because I don't want to undo what I just did, right? That's the motivation, right? It's like, now that you're going to the gym, you're eating healthy, you're starting to see results, it's going to encourage you to do it more. And so that's kind of like the mentality that you can apply to everything in life.
Drawing from those taking energy from those smaller wins instead of getting discouraged from the bigger goal.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's... Guys, if you made it this far, like if you really did make it this far, I'm going to link everything. I'm going to link your Instagram, the website, everything. So you guys can really check it out. Her podcast, too. She has a fire podcast. You guys can comment down below. I think you are what a lot of women strive to be. And a lot of women should strive to be. Being a mother, a wife, and a successful career. And having a business. Like, I really do, and I don't say that lightly. Like, if you watch my podcast, I never really say like, hey, I admire everybody, but like, I really do admire the things that you've done, and I really thank you for your time. I think that's the message of today: adaptability, investing in people that may not be the perfect position for that, discipline.
Give people an opportunity.
Discipline, and stacking up the small wins and drawing energy from the small wins instead of being discouraged from the bigger thing. Yeah. So seriously, I thank you for your time. Anything?
Thank you. No, this is great. I'm really happy to have been able to be a part of it. Thank you for choosing me.
Of course.
And I hope that somebody gains some valuable insight 100%. And is motivated today to do something else. Maybe motivated to do something that they didn't think they could do, or motivated to go out and try something new, or just grows from this opportunity. So thank you.
100%. Guys, thank you for making it to the end. I'm going to link all the Instagram so you guys can check out the clips. Like I said, I'm going to tag her, guys. Thank you so much for making it to the end. Women International Month. Stay tuned. We got more guests. I'll see you on the next one.